Hello, Jim. How are you today?
I am fantastic, Joe. How are you?
I am very good, very good. You saying fantastic makes me want to say fantastic too. But the day
Well,
I've had,
it's a big day for you, right? England's playing in a few hours, so
yes, there's a lot happening today, and
there's
definitely England playing in a little bit is definitely one of the bigger events today. Yes.
well, so is seeing your smile. So it's great to connect, and thanks for this invitation.
Lovely, my pleasure, and thank you for accepting the invitation. And I just wanted to explain a little bit, explain myself and what this is all about, because I send you an invite to a podcast. I call it a podcast. I just started it not too long ago. What it is, it's really, they're just conversations. I just record conversations with people, hopefully meaningful. That's the idea behind it.
Sure.
Uh, and it's just the idea behind it is to it's just something that that inner voice inside of me that makes me wanna connect with people and makes me wanna have these meaningful conversations, record them, and then hopefully for anyone interested to watch it, listen back, and take something from it. And I've come across your post, and what happened was your post just captivated me instantly because I think it was the simplicity behind it. It was just so simple, but so powerful. And I didn't mean to, I didn't plan to make another podcast episode, but there was something about that little video of yours that made me just I didn't even do it myself. I need to have a podcast with this guy. I need to have a conversation with this guy. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do. It's funny how seeds get planted, and which post was it?
So it was the one where you sit by the water.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you talk about basically reflecting the light
yeah.
onto others. And it was just sometimes, it's like you are going through something in your life and you just hear or read or see exactly the thing that you're meant to see or hear, and it just resonates with you. And I thought, yes, that's exactly it. This is it. That it's as simple as that. All we do here is, or all we're meant to do here is reflect the light. And I've never said it like that before. So reading your post, reading your caption, it really like resonated with something deep inside me, and I'm like, I have to talk to this guy.
Well,
So
I'm glad it did, and I'll tell you, Joe. I think the idea of reflecting the light, it's sort of a selfless thing, right? It's not my light. It's not something I own. It's something that like the moon reflects the sun's light. It's not the moon's light that we see. It's the sun's. And whether you're looking at the ocean and you're seeing the light reflect off the ocean, or you're interacting with somebody that you're open to connecting in a meaningful way. There's power in that, and but it requires us to get. It requires me to get out of my own head and focus on that someone or something else, and to me that's everything. That's what you mentioned at the start. That's the connection. That's from there, who knows what can happen? Anything can happen, and powerful things, good things. So I'm glad it resonated with you.
yeah, I'm glad too, because it brought us here. And yeah, I mentioned to you I'm having a bit of a crazy day because it turns out there was a lot happening. So thank you so much for being very accommodating and allowing us to move this a little bit later in the day. But it's just exactly, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those days where this is what I'm working on. You just accept things as they come, and you kind of learn to adapt and adjust and go with it. And I think knowing that that you're kind of a little bit like-minded, it was putting me at ease, knowing that we're going to have this conversation a little bit later, and it was helping me today with some stressful situations. So it's that connection, and it's already exchange of some really, really positive energy. So thank you so much for being here. I did look at your profile, and I noted down a few things. So the way you talk about yourself, the way you introduce yourself on your Instagram profile, you say you're a husband, you're a father, you're an author, veteran, and very important thing, something really honest, sober since, and this is 2021, right? So this is fairly recent.
Yes.
So well done to you, and that's really honest of you and really powerful introduction. And what came through as well when I was obviously I didn't have time to properly look you up and and dig about you, so hopefully you can tell me more about yourself. But what came through some of your posts and some of your comments is exactly that simplicity and and connection and recovery through connection. That was something that really, really spoke to me. So can you tell me please more about yourself, please, Jim?
Sure. Well, I think those things, the husband, father, veteran, obviously imperfect person, broken at some level, like we all are. I think these are all. It's a unifying message. We all have our little bits, but at the core, we're all struggling with something. And it could be as bad as alcohol or drugs. It could be as separating as spending too much money or other kinds of addictions. But ultimately, I am at a point in my life where my eyes have been opened. It took me 50 years to grow out of kind of what the world taught me to be, or what I allowed the world to teach me to be. To be the successful army officer, to be the hardcore, doing all the really tough training and jumping out of airplanes, looking for bad guys, all those kinds of things. I checked that block. I got out of the military. I did quite a bit of time in the business world and closed $1 million deals and made good money and checked that block. I had status on airplanes and hotels and all these kinds of things, and worked with Fortune 500 companies and their executive teams, and did all of these great things. But I think I definitely hit a point where I let those things define me. And when my wife, who is also an incredibly accomplished woman, also a veteran, also a mother, but she's extremely successful in the business world. And when her travel or her job made her travel a lot, one of us had to stop traveling for the kids. And so I had kind of done my time in the business world and liked the idea of being sort of a stay-at-home dad and writing. That's been a lifelong passion of mine, writing a book and writing books, because I'm a huge fan, a huge reader, love books. and I've always felt I had it in me. Well, I decided, sure, I'll be a stay-at-home dad. And Joe, I'll tell you, I was not prepared. I was not prepared. It's for all you stay-at-home moms and dads out there. It's a whole nother world, and unfortunately, pardon me, that coincided with COVID, and I think between the sort of, I won't call it trauma, but the amount of change that I took on myself by becoming a stay-at-home dad, and then COVID and everybody being home, drinking became my escape. I had an identity crisis, and my escape was numbing it away with alcohol. And it got really bad, and this wasn't the kind of partying kind of drinking. This was, we have a ranch here. We actually have rescue animals, gallivanting all about goats and dogs and cats and all kinds of things. A very old ranch that we've been fixing up. But I'd go out in the woods or out to the barn or out with the goats, and I'd drink. And it would start early in the morning and run all day while the kids are in their room doing their online classes, while my wife's upstairs in her office doing her virtual working. And I thought I hid it very well. Of course, I didn't. And it just got to be this vicious cycle of by the end of the day, I'd be completely blitzed and thinking I'm putting on a good face, and my wife would, we'd have some kind of confrontation. She'd call me out, and I'd of course say I wasn't drinking, and eventually I'd pass out asleep, wake up the next morning, and I cannot tell you how many times, Joe, I woke up to this sentence, and the sentence was, "Do you even remember what you said to me last night?" That's what my wife said to me, and tell you that ate at me. Unfortunately, for a while, that just made me want to drink more, and I'd start the cycle again. I'd feel bad, so I'd want to forget it. I'd have all these resentments about not being out in the business world or out with my military buddies or whatever it was, and so I drink again. That cycle continued, and it finally got to a point where she looked at me and said, something has to change. You can't help you. I can't help you. You need to get help. When you were in the Army, you went and saw a doctor. You got help. If you were wounded, you're wounded, you need help. And she convinced me to go to rehab. And I'll tell you, Joe, that was the first time in my life. So here I am, a military guy, very proud, very, all this kind of stuff. As soon as I get in there to rehab and they say, hey, your first job is to surrender to your addiction. Admit that you have a problem. Admit that you have help. In fact, rehab, the facility, required me to do this before they would take me in. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done. I've never done something like that in my life. Admit you have a problem? Oh my gosh, are you crazy? I'd rather go run 20 miles with 100 pounds on my back and, go after the bad guys than admit that I have to surrender. I mean, it just wasn't in my creed.
Yeah.
Well, I did, and I made it through rehab, and ever since, it's still a journey. It's a one day at a time thing. I won't claim to have, I'm not cured. I'm not, it's a every day, every decision matters, and through that process, the only way I could do it was not, so surrender was the first thing on my part I had to do. But all the rest of it, all the other steps in the program that I'm in, and I'm not a big, AA, you know, big book thumper or anything like that. I do participate in AA meetings and that program, and I have worked the steps and continue to work the steps. But I think ultimately the path to recovery, again, whether it's alcohol or any other kind of addiction or problem, is through connection. So surrender is something I had to do, but connection I cannot do on my own. I can't go hide out in the woods with the goats and recover. I just can't. I have to do it by interacting with other people and people who help. You know, it's not interacting with other people who still do a lot of drinking or people who
Drag you down.
people who get angry at the government, or there are lots of things, lots of noise out there in the world that we can get wrapped up in. And I did for a long time. For 5 decades I got wrapped up in all of that noise. But now I'm more a fan of these kinds of interactions and learning and growing and writing. I'm working on my second novel and sketching out an idea for a third, and I'm seeing my kids grow up, and I'm fully present in activities with them. I mean, it's mind blowing, the difference. But it took those two things. It took me surrendering, and then me finding meaningful connections with other people so that I can learn and grow and build this person, or reveal this person that I think has always been in there. Just I chose to cover it up with things that the world valued or other
Yeah.
people valued. And so yeah. Sorry, I kind of went off on a number of different tangents there. I hope I didn't.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm all for it. Oh my God. I mean, you said so many things that just, hit me right here, right there, just resonate. And I just feel this, I don't know, I think they call it like a high frequency vibration right now, because you're just speaking my language. And this is exactly what this was for me. So it's just hearing you, obviously your story, about coming to terms with your, lost identity, and you finding yourself, and and finding the help in the connections it resonates with me so much. So I never had a alcohol problem as such, but I come from anxious background. So my huge problem in my life was anxiety,
Sure.
and so that stems from childhood. Kind of a rocky childhood, a little bit. How shall I say it? There was always a lot of anger at home. So I was never taught how to manage my emotions, basically. And because it's like they call it generational trauma. So because my parents didn't know how to manage their emotions, we were never taught how to manage ours. And dealing with emotions in certain situations, it was always done in a very, very heightened way. And this affected my life in a big way. And hearing you talk about having children and how it hits you, and it does, because before your children come to this world, you're just your own person, and you do your own thing, and it doesn't affect, or you don't see it affecting anybody else as such. But when you have your children, you see that everything you do, you just see it reflected in your children straight away, and it's just a different kettle of fish. So I think that for me, my a kind of transformation story started with having children. And and yeah, it took a lot out of me from first not knowing what to do, fighting my own battles, and then just doing everything I can to make it better, to find myself. In the process, what I didn't realize was that my husband, and what we both didn't realize, was that my husband has also lost himself in the process, because he comes from a household where emotions were squashed.
Sure.
So yeah, so so there was a father who avoided emotions. So in the process he completely kind of without realizing, with it squashed his identity as well. He's completely forgotten who he was, and he just wanted to fix everything, just fix all the problems in terms of, so there's no problems, not in terms of dealing with them, but just squashing them. And on the other side, there was me who was trying to learn how to manage my emotions and my children's emotions, and sometimes didn't know what she was doing, and and it was a big mix of things, and that lasted I don't know, long years. I mean, our oldest is now 21, so yeah, so quite long years. And so we kind of threw ourselves into religion at some point, and then it was one thing after another. And then, well, religion was helpful at the time. It did help a lot. It was what we needed. But then we started opening ourselves up a little bit more and started seeing a bit of a wider picture of this world. And thankfully, like you say, it took you 50 years. It took me, I don't know, about 40 years. I'm not going to say exactly how long, but yeah. uh, to realize that, yeah, that there's so much more to it. And, and really start looking within rather than, start looking outwardly, what it is, who to blame, how to fix it. Just start looking within and finding that peace. And I got to tell you as well that one of my biggest issues is I'm not really that good with words, or I used to be. That's how I saw myself. Not very good with words. English is my second language. I was not born in England, and yeah, and speaking to people because of my, the anxieties that I went through. I always found it very hard to talk to people, to especially strangers. Always very wary of other people's energies and all of that. So for me to do this, just reach out to a stranger, come on, let's go and have a chat. That is a huge, huge change in my life, and this is something that I'm celebrating right now. For me to be able to sit here with you and communicate, and I can feel it in my body, like you say, you never, it's not about fully healing just like that. It's making peace with who you are and with who you're becoming as well, and just getting excited with who you're becoming and getting excited about these these meaningful conversations. So this is something that we do have in common. And I loved hearing your story. And can you tell me a little bit more about the books that you're writing? I'm very curious about that.
Absolutely. Well, the first one is called Endless Horizon. My little poster here is advertising that. But my general approach to writing, it's almost therapeutic. Not almost, it is therapeutic for me. My characters are all struggling with something, and the characters that I depict come from all varieties. So this story is actually a historical fiction novel, a bit of a thriller. I describe it briefly as sort of an Indiana Jones meets Jack Ryan, but out in the Wild West of 1846. So there's basically a diverse set of characters, very very appropriate for that time. You know, you have an American father and son who are crossing the Santa Fe Trail. You have a Spanish doctor who's helping deliver inoculations to Native Americans, and you have a Mexican army and the American army, and lots of things going on. But the good guys find an ancient human femur, a very large human femur, almost 5 feet long. So that would mean the original owner of that bone was very big. And if you look in every religion, every belief system throughout history, that every religion has believed in, has some story about giants. You know, in the Bible, it's the Nephilim. You know, giants helped the Egyptians and the Incans build their pyramids according to their beliefs. So these characters find an ancient artifact that is a common thing that everybody kind of believes in, and it has some powers, and so they discover themselves and the powers of this thing through going through life's hardships. And so even though it's set in the West, and you know, lots of interesting things happening out in the desert and in the canyons, and it's a thriller, but it's also very has a pointed message around when we find things that we have in common, we can do anything. And so I tell that story in a, like I said, sort of an Indiana Jones, you know, lots of action, lots of stuff going on, lots of lore and legacy and mystery out there, and they discover it together, but only together. It doesn't work when it's one person has it all by themselves. So that was the first book, and that's done. You know, I'm a small, you know, I had it published independently, so not a big, you know, not a big publishing house or anything like that. So the book I'm working on, I'm actually revising and doing edits on now, is a modern day sequel to that book. So similar stories, similar. You know, the big bone is the unifying factor, and then a bunch of different diverse people who are struggling with something kind of come together to try to protect it and use it for good. So yeah, it's like sobriety or overcoming anxiety. You know, it's a journey. You don't kind of flip a switch one day and say, today I'm a writer, or today I'm cured. It's every day I'm learning. I've joined a lot of writing groups, and it's funny how many, it's very interesting how many writers are also sober. You know, you look at some of the greats, like everybody knows who Stephen King is. Well, he's been sober for decades. And so he uses his stories. If you've read any of his stories, he incorporates battling against alcohol or other addictions into his stories. So I'm really doing something similar. Not that I'm any Stephen King. I don't nowhere near his caliber of writer, but it's a fun process, and I'm learning a lot, and it's therapeutic, and I'm finding ways, even though it is something you do by yourself, it gets better when I share it with other people. And so I have writing groups, just like I have sober groups, and it's neat. You know, these are parts of me that I've never, I never thought about. You know, I was always, you know, an independent, strong-willed, I can do this on my own kind of guy. And now I'm different. I see the light, and it's very, I don't know, it's empowering, Joe. It's
Yeah.
empowering to work with other people at all different levels. You know, whether it's somebody coming into a meeting who's just decided that they need to stop drinking, or who's just decided that they want to write a book and don't know anything about it. Yep, I know both those situations because I've been there. I get it. I know the anxieties. I know the heartbreak. I know the dreams. I know the potential that those situations can bring. So, but also I admit that I'm not an expert in any of it. So I'm not going to preach that this is the answer, or that I've, follow my way because my way is the best. Nope. My way I got to where I am because of all the people around me, because of the things that I plugged into, the things that I opened my mind to, and the things that I avoided. I avoided putting myself in a situation where there's an open bar at a party. That's not a good place for me. And or isolating myself. If I go too long sitting staring at my manuscript, I need to share it with somebody. I need to get somebody else's feedback and perspective. And so just kind of knowing that is helpful.
Yeah. I love it. I love the idea for the book. I really want to read it. I've not read any Stephen King books, but my husband did, so I know about his books. And I'm not usually into that, when there's too much going on. But but the idea of joining that with with this outlook on life, that really speaks to me. So I would definitely give it a go. My issue is I have ADHD, so I always read 10 books. I start reading 10 books at a time. So yeah, but I'll get there. I'll get to yours eventually.
That's okay. Well, you'll have to
um,
you'll have to send me your address. I'll send you a copy. No problem.
oh, fantastic. That's amazing. And so you see, this is what my ADHD does. When you were talking, I have so many things. I'm like, oh yes, this, that, and the other. And then when you're about to speak, you're like, all right, what was it? But there was one thing that you said was, oh yeah, your the groups, how sharing, how powerful sharing is. That really spoke to me because I'm actually from a person who who always all my life I was shy to speak to people. Well, not really. That would be a lie. If any of my friends ever listened to this, they'll be like, "What is she talking about?" Uh, yeah, shy to speak to strangers, but covering it really well. But avoiding situations where I have to be put on the spot because of what was happening to my body and I wasn't able to deal with the emotions. And to now becoming a coach, basically. So someone who thrives in running groups and in talking to people and in sharing my experiences. So I know exactly what you talk about. I do know that that energy and that power, that really healing power of getting together and opening up and just connecting, just being there for each other um, and just being, really. This is what I've recently discovered. Just being together. It's not really about, it's like you said, you don't consider yourself as an expert in any of this, but that's exactly it. That's the whole point. What a lot of people don't realize is that, none of us are really experts in anything. We're all here learning. We're all here on our own journeys with our own experiences. And and the only way to kind of enrich it and to get the most out of it is to do it together and is to share it. And this reminds me of, every time I had a child. So I have 4 children. Every time I'm given birth, I would go through an episode of anxiety. It was just something that was happening to my body. It was, again, I think, learning to help a little helpless baby with their emotions while coping with my own. And I had sleepless nights, and it was really some extreme insomnia sometimes. Like I wouldn't sleep at all, just looking at that baby and, just trying to keep them safe. And every time I went through it, I knew, I don't know where I knew that from, but I knew that I probably learned that from after my first birth, that I can't do it on my own. That the only thing that helped me through it was getting together with other moms, was being open about it. This is another thing. The person that I am, I never hide any. I can't hide too much. I have to be open about what I'm experiencing, and I have to talk about it, and I have to share it. And this has always helped me through. So this is what I bring to my coaching now as well. I'm not an expert in any way. I mean, I'm really impressed with your accomplishments. My biggest accomplishment in my life is being a mom and being now I work in a primary school, so supporting children with their traumas. So none of us are experts. I'm not an expert, but I just know how powerful connection and sharing is, and so I'm just really amazed at everything that you said today. Can I
Well,
just ask? Yeah, go on.
can I interrupt just for a second? I'm sorry.
Please do.
Two things I want to say. One is you just belittled yourself a little bit by playing down the
I
importance of
tend to do that. I tend to
being a
do that.
mother and working in a primary school, helping children overcome their challenges. That's a huge thing. So I know I did the same thing when I made that transition from working to outside of the house to working inside the house, and I would always introduce myself as, hey, I'm just a stay-at-home dad. My army buddies would say, oh, Jim, what do you do now? You used to do all these exciting things. What do you do now? And I'd say, literally, I would say, I'm just a stay-at-home dad. And that was one of the things that drove me to drinking. And so one thing I just wanted to say to you, you're doing important work, both
Yeah.
inside and outside. And so don't put that down.
Yeah.
That's important. The second thing is, you're absolutely right. The connections, it's easy to we can go online and on the social media and connect with people very, very easily. I follow you, or I have this many followers and all those kinds of things. But to me, what matters is what you bring to that connection. And that connection is to me, there are two things that I cannot bring to connections. And those things are expectations. So I can't expect, what I say, to impact you in a certain way. I can't expect you to accept my what I'm saying. I can't expect change or anything. Any expectations. We have a saying in recovery. It's unrealistic expectations are premeditated resentments. Unrealistic expectations are premeditated resentments. And resentments are, again, something else that drove me to the bottle. So I have to stay away from expectations. That's number one. And the other thing is judgment. It is so easy to judge people. You don't have to go far on social media or on the news or anything, and people are pointing fingers. This person's bad. This person's bad. This thing's bad. All this bad, and the judging, and that person's living their life wrong. All this kind of stuff. The judgments, and to me, as an alcoholic, who am I to judge? I mean, the number of mistakes I made, the number of bad decisions I made, the harmful things that I said. Fortunately, I didn't, get in a crash. I didn't, physically hurt anybody, but I said a lot of things and I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of. And so who am I to judge somebody else? So no expectations and no judgments are the two things, to me, that make a connection meaningful. And from there, like you said, whether it's just us sitting looking at like that scene in the post that you liked, sitting looking at the ocean. We could just sit there together, look at the ocean, not say a word, and have a connection, and just be a part of something bigger than ourselves. Or we could share like this. Again, there's a bigger purpose behind it. It's not for me to hype up my name or you to hype up your name. This is about helping. This is about continuing our journey. And so to me, that meaningful connections is really important.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautifully said. And I actually have, I've come across, ever since I've decided, yes, coaching, that's what I want to do. I've come across so many people, profiles, whatever, just focusing on, you need to market yourself, money, you need to value yourself, this and that. And yes, that's right. But I just could not make my peace with it. That is the focus. I'm like, where are the people that I can just connect with? Where is the focus on connection within all of it? I mean, yes, we all need money to live, to survive. Yes, I get that. I do get that. But I can never settle for this to be my focus, and for this to drive me. This is what drives me. It's just like, earlier today, because I'm so aware of my patterns of the way I am, so I need to prepare myself, because I know if I don't prepare myself, then something might go wrong. And this comes from the anxieties, and I was aware of all those little thoughts popping in my head. And okay, so you're speaking later, that little pattern, that little voice in my head, you're speaking later to someone who is, looks, sounds professional, experienced, and all of that. And what are you going to do? What are you going to ask? You need to prepare. And I had no time to prepare. And also I didn't want to, and I was like talking to that voice. I was saying, thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't want to prepare, because I want to see what comes up. I really want to have, these conversations. I want them to be about what comes in the moment. I don't even want to have a topic in mind. I just want to see where it takes us. I just want to, like, this energy I told you about, that I felt this high frequency every time you say something. That's my focus. That's what drives me. And thank you so much for reminding me that, yes, being a mother is one of the best and most important jobs in this world. And I do know that, and I do remind myself of that, but I still have moments where, where obviously those little patterns and voices take over sometimes still. But that's why we have these connections. That's why you're here to remind me about it.
And anytime you need a reminder, you just let me know. I'll be quick to get back to you.
Amazing. I'll hold you to that.
Please
Um,
do.
do you know what, Jim? I don't know about you, but I feel like this is a good place to leave it for today.
Sure.
Just just not to make it too long because not to bore anyone. I know we're enjoying it and we could I don't know if you feel like the same as me, but I could just talk to you for hours and hours. So for today, I'm going to say a huge thank you to you. You've just made my day, and and I'm so glad I bumped into you on Instagram. And I would love to have another conversation with you one day, and I would love to connect more and hear about. There's a few more questions that I wanted to ask you, so I'm going to leave it for next time. Or again, we can see what comes up. What do you say?
I would love that. And actually, I think a great topic that maybe to plant a seed for is, it's all well and good that you and we do our individual work and we connect like this. It makes us better people. Well, the like when you throw a stone in a pond and the ripples go all the way out to the shore, there are so many instances in my life that I could say, hey, because I've changed, because I surrendered, because I look for connection, here are the things that have happened in my life, and especially to the people in my immediate circle, my family. And I have 4 kids, by the way, as well, so I
Oh,
totally get it. But the impact, particularly on my children, and the example, they saw me at my worst, and now they see me at my best. And they've gained a whole different perspective on life and decisions because of the journey that I've been through. And I won't go into the story, but it's the impacts that these kinds of connections can have go far beyond the two of us or
yeah,
just our significant others or even our children. I mean, they go, who knows where they can go, thanks to technology. They go far out there, and all we can do is keep reflecting the light and learning and growing and doing our best. So
yeah.
I am grateful for your time, Joe, and for inviting me, and I would be more than happy to be back anytime you'd like to have me.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure about the quality of this one. I'm going to do my best. This is the first time I'm using Riverside, so I'm going to try my best with editing. And I can see the quality is not great. I don't know if it's my side because I record on my phone or not, but that doesn't matter. What it will be, what it will be, and. Yes, and I will hopefully speak to you soon.
Sounds good. Well, let's
And you
stay in
have
touch,
yourself,
Joe. Please
yes,
stay in touch.
definitely. Please stay in touch and have yourself lovely rest of the day because I think you still got a little bit of day left, don't you?
Well, I'll go cheer on England for you.
Yes, let's do that together. Take care, Jim.
All right, you too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.